cognitive abilities are the foundation of fine motor control. Just a little example. I don't know if you know this guy, Tom Brady. He's a famous quarterback in the US. He's more than 40 years old, and he's still the best in the NFL. Okay, and the last year he's using specific brain training, and his feedback is, "Hey guys, I can see things in slow motion." When we're talking about, let's say, cognition in motion, we're talking about your ability to elaborate information in a fast way, to brain speed, and also attention. Attention is a key aspect for making decisions. So if you have these abilities, I mean, you can make choices in short time, and you can control your body in a completely different manner. I want to jump to a couple of slides, and then I want to show you something interactive. We were talking about dementia, for example. There are many studies on elderly people that are showing that cognitive training has a huge impact on a potential dementia illness. We are talking about a probability to get dementia less than 48%, okay, if you continue to train your brain. Okay, the matter is how we train our brain, okay, and how we train our brain in motion. I work and I'm dealing a lot with professional athletes, and when you are discussing with strength and conditioning coaches, they say, "What you're doing for your brain?" Nothing. Okay, it's a black box. And what's the transfer between brain training and the field? Nothing. Just game. Okay, no problem. Let's do this little game. At my group we have some little traffic lights, okay, and we do a pattern where you can perform sport-specific movement. So we create a pattern, and we do with a very simple stimulus, okay, a green light, go, touch, okay, and you do a time. Then we increase the cognitive load, more difficult. And with the very complex cognitive load, people takes 4 to 5 times the time with no cognitive load. That means that you're worse by 400% only because by doing exactly the same physical activity. Okay?
Like changing from green light to red light, so that they can touch
to green light, to put distractor, to have complex symbols, to have to resolve a problem when you're doing. No? You can think about these kind of things like an extended dual task. Yeah. Okay, so I put a cognitive load while you're moving. What's the result? I mean, when you're training somebody, when you have a 10% improvement for a physical point of view, it's wow, 10%. And here you're worse by 400%, only because your brain is low. So, do we have the ability to change this ability? The answer is yes. Okay. Just a little story. Me and my American partner Peter Dorman, we've taken a little baseball team, 9 years old kids, incredible guys. So we were training them with these cognitive training, and we'll show the method in movement and on the computer for 12 weeks. Easy, twice a week, easy training, very funny, very interesting. So after 6 weeks, the school was calling my friend, say, "What's going on up there?" Why? Because the attention abilities, the reasoning abilities of the kids were completely different. Then, it was an average team. Maybe it's by chance, but they won all the matches. Okay? And their feedback was, hey guys, we can see the ball big like this in slow motion. They had a lot of time to decide how to hit the ball. Why? Because with some specific exercises, at the beginning they were taking something like 700 milliseconds to understand what they were seeing. At the end of the training, 32 milliseconds. This is brain speed. In terms of motion control, okay, they were much better because they can suppress the distractors. One thing, the key aspect, brain speed and attention are the key to make choices. When we are talking about attention, we are not talking just about your ability to focus, but your ability, for example, to suppress the distractor. It's just a matter of the context. What I mean is, now I'm talking, okay? You're listening to me, more or less. And the key is, if the fire alarm starts, my speech is not important anymore, okay? Because our brain is making a ranking. What is important now? Fire alarm has a higher level of importance, okay? Federico speaking, telephone ringing, who cares? Our ability to suppress the distractor related to the situation is the key. This is a cognitive ability. And by the way, these two abilities, fundamental abilities, brain speed and attention, are the foundation also for motor control, by the way. How we can do that? Too easy? So here we have brain function like speed of information processing, accuracy of information processing, neuromodular function. Today, this morning, we were talking about feedback, and we were saying we have to acquire the information, process the information, and react. What's going on if our brain is slow in processing the information? Means we are always in delay. And being in delay from a dynamic point of view, it's the beginning of failure. Because you are always acting, responding in delay to a stimulus. It's terrible. You are in trouble all the time in terms of motion control. Mike founded this company, BrainHQ, providing exercises scientifically validated on these main areas: attention, brain speed, memory, people skills, intelligent navigation. And what they are doing is, I can give you the presentation. I can share with you the presentation if we have your emails. If you want, I can share. No problem. For example, every test is explained and is related to a specific. Let me see. To a specific brain area. This little exercise we call target tracker. Target tracker, what you have to do is to track some objects on a screen. I want to show you, let me see if it works. Otherwise, I need to do something different. I think HDMI is not working properly. Let's do this.
This is Target Tracker, one of the brain training exercises currently available in BrainHQ. Target Tracker challenges your brain's visual attention by requiring you to track multiple objects in increasingly difficult conditions. In this exercise, a set of objects, in this case 3 bubbles, appears on screen. These are the objects for you to track. Then more bubbles appear on screen. As all the bubbles begin to move around the screen, you have to keep track of the original 3, while ignoring the distracting ones. When they stop, you click to identify the 3 target bubbles. As you answer correctly, the number of bubbles to track goes up. While at first you may only be able to track 2 or 3 bubbles, with training, you might reach 5, 6, 7, or even more. In later levels, the exercise changes in ways that make it more challenging to track the objects. The contrast between the objects and the background decreases, going from a nearly solid, dark background and bright bubbles to a highly complex background and transparent jellyfish. The objects also travel more quickly, for longer amounts of time, and over larger areas. This intensive adaptive brain exercise challenges the visual system of the brain, particularly in the areas of divided attention and sustained attention, as well as working memory. In brain imaging experiments where people with memory problems use this exercise, scientists have seen changes in global brain connectivity that are associated with maintenance of brain health and cognitive function. Target Tracker is just one example of the many brain exercises in Brain HQ, each one of which.
This is one, and the other one I want to show you, and after I want to show some practical exercises
This is
in
the exercise
motion.
double decision.
Is double
In the
decision.
exercise, one of 2 objects, in this case a car or a truck, briefly flashes in the middle of the screen. At the same time, a road sign appears somewhere on the periphery. The user's job is to pick the right object in the center of gaze and to locate the target in the periphery. This forces the user to practice dividing their attention. As the user gives correct answers, the items flash on screen more quickly, pushing the brain to process information faster and faster. While a user may have needed a quarter, a half, or even a full second to process visual information at first, with practice, they may eventually be able to process that information in 1/50th of a second. In later levels, the road sign will move further out to the periphery, pushing the brain to expand its useful field of view. And with more progress, additional distractor signs appear, putting additional demands on selective attention. Over time, the objects at the center of the screen will grow more similar, and the backgrounds more complicated, making it harder to correctly pick out the targets. This intensive, repetitive, and progressively challenging exercise places increasing demands on visual attention and pushes the brain to increase its speed of processing.
Same. Okay. Same stuff with the last one. Okay, I will show you briefly. Is you have to detect which is the different little bird, okay, in the group. Okay. So what we did with Mike was starting a combined program where we can use BrainHQ on a computer. It's something browser-based and very inexpensive. We are talking about a license is like something $96 per year, so something that almost everybody could afford. And using a platform that we call WittySem has there are little traffic lights that are using the same concept. Okay, you know, the little car and the track with the peripheral sign, the little bird that is different, and what we did was exactly. For example, this is the little car and the truck. So we can force people to identify in a 3D, I would say, because here they are on a frame, and I have to say where the peripheral stimulus was. But also we've seen with neurological patients, this is crazy. We can use it also on the treadmill to create a more advanced dual task challenge. But at the same time, we're not just challenging, we are really training your brain. We were also running some specific training with the Army, okay? by loading the rifle, unloading the rifle, doing something specific for them, or some specific movement for sport people. So here just an idea of a specific activity that we are running with the army. So they have to load the rifle. Do you have the ability to do that in every situation with every cognitive load? If they're shooting you, okay, do you have the ability to do that, or you have an inhibition when you have a high cognitive load? You are in the middle of a match. 50,000 people watching you or booing you. What's the cognitive load? Now, for example, here in UK, we started a nice stuff with Tottenham. Okay, they have with the SAMs, and they're training also to verify the cognitive load, not only of a single player, but also with the two central defenders, for example. Okay, we have to know where you are, and we have to solve the problem together. So the idea is there is a different level that we can afford right now, and we can always play with these activities